truth, this is the place for you. Don't need to complicate it, it's best to keep it basic. Open the book, the word itself approved. He's Alpha and Omega, the answer since the early ages. What you should do is learn about the greatest. Just so you know, our door is always open. Let's study together instead of debating. Share our differences, let love heal all that's broken.
And shalom aleichem to each and every one of you. And I said shalom aleichem, not a shalom aleichem. I said a shalom aleichem to each and every one of you here today on the broadcast. We're so glad to have you with us. My hope and desire is that you have seen and are experiencing the grace, the power, the glory of Yahweh, who is, in fact, our Elohim. Well, we're here today for another broadcast for what is known as the Bible Book Club. We want to make sure that you get opportunity to get started in that process. And, well, let's just pray and begin. Yahweh, we come before you, thanking you, gracing you, loving you, appreciating you for all things that are you, have always been you, will always be you. And we're asking that you would grace us with your wisdom and your understanding as we proceed to enter your word. Literally, we dare not tell you what to do or try to act like we can tell you what to do. We're asking you, what would you like to do in this programming? We're going to open up your word. We're going to ask you that if you want to say anything, you are welcome to commandeer any one of these vessels for your glory, as we've assembled for the purpose of knowing who you are and you alone. This is our prayer earnestly in the precious, matchless, mighty name of Yahushua HaMashiach. We all pray and we say, welcome into this place. Ruach HaKodesh, remind us of the writ. Yahweh, guide us through it. Adonai, speak it to us. In the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, his blood we have been washed in. His ways we watch. Amen. All right, everybody. So glad to be with you. So glad that you're here. Welcome to each and every one of you. I think I said that like 5 times. So at the end of the day, I think the process is, so let's get on with it. How about that? Let's get on with it. So looking into our Bible today in the book of Genesis, let's look here. Boom, bang, bow, bow, bam. For those of you who are truly called or truly tuning into this because it is what we do for a Bible book club. We're in the book of Genesis, chapter and number 49. We've talked so much about this. We've still not approached chapter 50 yet for reasons that I hope everybody can see and tell and will be able to understand. So we're going to go back in. And from what I understood, there was a question raised last week regarding Noah. And we're wanting as many people as can to sort of kind of participate in that. I guess the best way to put it would be the question was for you guys to go back and read. Let me find the question because I want to make sure we're clear on it. The question was, we asked the group rather to go back and to read the account of Noah and see where the bed was defiled. I'm not sure if you all are ready for that conversation, but I did ask you guys to go back and look at that based on probably a question that came upon the platform. So, you know, we'll get started on that. So the book of, excuse me. Oh, this hay season or something. For the book of, thank you, I appreciate that. For the book of Genesis, chapter number 49, let's get back into where we picked off. Where did we stop at? Was it 10, 12, verse 12, 13? I want to skim through and we'll try to hit back up where we should be as to what it is we're going to talk about tonight. All right, so go with me very quickly to the book. Genesis chapter 49, verse number 1. We're going to read through for catch up. Thank you for the blessings, Prophetess Leslie. Thank you as well. Tiffany, good to see you with us. Hey, Brother Eric. Bless you, sir. All right. Verse number 1. Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Verse 2. Gather yourselves together and hear, you sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel, who is in fact your father. Verse 3, Reuben, you are my firstborn, you are my might, and you are the beginning of my strength. You are the excellency of my dignity, and you are the excellency of my power. Unfortunately, you're unstable as water. You're not going to excel. Why? Because you went up to your father's bed, and then you defiled your father's bed. He went up to my couch. If I'm correct, I think this may be where the question of understanding what defiling and the capacities of defilement we discussed came up. Anybody recall that? We got stuck on verse 4, right? That's what I figured. Because we were wondering about what does defile mean? Who is defilement? Did anybody do the homework to understand the passage in Noah's storyline, Noah's record of history? Did anyone get into understanding his particular dilemma with defilement? Those of you that are with us on YouTube, those of you that are with us on Facebook, would y'all please hit the heart sign, hit the like sign. I got more eyeballs and I got hearts and likes. Y'all know I can't have that. So hit the heart sign, hit the like sign. Come on, YouTube, come on, Facebook, make it happen. Get that number to change. Let's go. Nobody yet? Okay. All right. We're going to move on. So when we look here to this proper way of his writ being explained, did anyone do the assignment? Did anyone do the assignment? Did anybody go back and read Noah? Okay.
Wanda.
All right, Wanda. All right. Are you moderating or are you speaking for yourself?
No, I did. I was speaking for myself.
I'm talking for myself. Ain't nobody gonna talk for me. Ain't no rock gonna cry out for me. The devil is a liar. Okay, Wanda. Hallelujah. Love it.
I did look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I did. It doesn't necessarily talk about his bed being defiled. It does talk about the account of Ham going into his tent and him being naked in his tent. I did notice how Yahweh made sure to be intentional about it being about Noah being in his tent. Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah, let me clear that. The tent would be the bed. That's his private space.
Okay, great. Mm-hmm. I remember you talking to us about that is technically considered the secret place. The
secret place, exactly. Mm-hmm. Good job. She remembers. Somebody listens. Yes, we got a listener today.
And so with that being his secret place, and that is the place where he meets Yahweh, and with him going in there and seeing his nakedness, that's how that bed was defiled. And I love how even when he left and saw his father's nakedness, which was wrong, he went and told his brothers.
Which was to gossip.
Was to gossip, right? And talk about his dad, which is devaluing and not honoring your father.
His leadership.
Absolutely. And the brothers, how they handled it and how they took a sheet and put it on them and they walked in backwards. Mm-hmm. And even their face, it talks about how even the position of their face when they went in to cover mm-hmm. their father.
They didn't look. So they judged their steps backwards. Their father was apparently exposed. Fortunately, they didn't have to walk in and see it. Someone came out immature enough to talk about it. And they went in, put the sheet on their shoulders, walked in backwards, covered their leader. And y'all know Noah still became the great man that Noah was, in spite of whatever this thing y'all call did happen. So one person commits the sin, another person tells the sin, and then those who supposedly are part of his love group, his heart circle, only two of them at least, covered him in whatever this issue was. And yes, it did happen in and at his bed. There's more to that story that most are not prepared to handle. But you were saying and sharing, go ahead. You loved how they went in backwards, the position of their heads were looking away from their father, though they were walking back to cover their father. They're covering their leader, their patriarch, who's raised them thus far. And because of him have come through a monumental flood where everybody went night-night, except those who were connected to Noah. It's funny how we treat an individual once we think we are familiar enough that we can be contentious and or contemptuous with them. And I always tell you guys, familiarity breeds contempt. I'll never stop sharing that because I've never stopped experiencing it. And as much as I try to dissect it and give excuses for it, it still comes back to the principle. So making it clear that, in fact, the familiarity for two of them. One of them is a grandson, all right, and another one is the father of that grandson to Noah. So there is a lot there that many have not understood. But we're talking about that because we got stuck in Genesis chapter 4. We got stuck in Genesis chapter 4, Genesis chapter 49, verse 4, meaning Noah or Jacob was sharing with his sons what should come of them, what should happen with them. And he addresses the firstborn, telling him how wonderful he is. You're great, you're excellent, you're strong, you're the beginning of my strength. All my dignity is in you. You're the excellency of my power. There's none like you, bro, but you are unstable as water. You will not excel because you went up to your father's bed. Then you defiled the bed. You went up to my couch. He makes this statement 3 times about this particular instrument. And I don't know if we really paid attention to it. So now, as we pursue beyond this and into the next, I really need y'all help on Facebook, YouTube. It's bothering me and throwing me off. Can y'all please hit the heart sign, hit the like sign when y'all come in? I got more eyeballs staring at us than we got people actually saying they're participating, even though you're on there on your threads. Would y'all please hit the heart sign, hit the like, go hit the like button, hit the button, hit it. Change it. There you go. Cool. Thank you. So in verse 4, we're stuck here dealing with, what is the element of what it is he's been and has defiled, right? So with that having been stated and said, we are understanding. Someone had a question with regards to, well, what does defiling the bed mean? As Minister Wanda is bringing out from her homework that she did that was given to the whole class last week, that they went and defiled the bed. What did it mean by the defiling of the bed? Noah, as we shift the story back several hundreds of years, Noah, his bed was defiled, but it was considered the tent. So when we find out that Noah's storyline, whoever asked that question, is the person that started that question here, moderators?
Well, it stemmed from me asking about why was Jacob so upset.
So you started the question.
The bed. I did.
Okay, so yes, the person's here. You're the person that started it. And I'm so glad you're the person that went to do the homework. Everybody else is telling you we don't even care. That's why you the only one did the homework. Okay, so let's go. Let's go on.
I do have a question about
that's fine, but let's finish where we are with verse 4 so we can get through this in a very decent way. Thank you for that one person that hit the like sign for us on the YouTube, Facebook page. Thank y'all for that. But Wanda, go ahead and finish telling us what you found out when you did the research on Noah.
That was basically it. That's how they that's what I believe was how they defiled the bed. By the son entering into his father's tent. And the father was in his tent. It's not like he was outside exposed. He was in his tent. So when the son went in, yes, sir.
So you believe that they defiled the tent in the fact that Ham went in and saw his father inappropriate.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's do this. We need to read the whole story of Noah. The defilement was not Ham. The defilement was Ham's son.
Oh.
That's why typical Christendom is saying that Ham had a curse on him. Canaan is the problem. The son of Ham. It's the son of Ham. That's the problem. Now, when you read the writ, it states that Noah's son. It doesn't tell you which level of son. It doesn't say his grandson. It does say son. However, in the proper defining of that, it is talking about the grandson Canaan. It's not talking about Ham. Ham came in and found Pop irregularly postured, right? And that's another subject too that many of you are not ready to talk about. I want you to be, but you've been defaulted into a different condition. So Ham, in the short of this, Ham is not the one who defiled the tent, i.e. bed of Noah. His Ham's son did. Ham, therefore, in this case, as I believe our great listener is putting forward, after having done the homework, went and read about Noah, right? At least they did that part, and I'm so glad they did, because it brings us to light now. Him walking in, can I be frank on dad, as we want to think the way you've always heard it, he walked on his dad naked. Okay. And that's not what the defilement was. The defilement was the condition and the scenario between drunkenness and Ham seeing him. So Ham walking in after fact is not the defilement. The defilement is what Ham's son did prior to Ham seeing his father compromised. And his father, y'all need to understand, is an envelope. I want y'all to catch what I just said. His father, Noah, is an envelope. All right, we're going to walk away from that. So Ham is not seeing his father. That does not determine the actual defilement. He sees his father. I want to say having fallen victim. Yeah, right. He sees his father in a compromised position and situation, and instead of helping his father, he laughs at his father, who this indicts in many different ways. I am going to be subjective here, okay? However, my subjectivity is not exegetics. It is conversations and spheres of theological study that are being discussed and paneled even as we have this particular session, right? So his defilement is still a big discussion. Ham seeing his father, not helping his father, is an indictment that Ham has felt some kind of way about his pops. And though his brothers, they may joke and kid and jest and joke around, they are now grown men themselves. When they went into that ark, they didn't have children. So for them to have children this old means that this has been some time, and he's still acting like a little child, and he sees his father in a compromised position. And now all he can do is run back and gossip, because leadership has now taken place in Ham, Japheth, and Shem's life, that these are men of their own families. Remember, when they got off that ark, they didn't have children. Am I opening y'all, anybody this day old right now unpacking this? Okay.
Me. Yeah.
Stay old, yes.
So for Ham to have a son and Noah to have a grandson, Ham and his wife, Japheth and his wife, Shem and his wife did not have children when they entered into that ark. It took time for Noah to grow his vineyards to the point where he can now start making wine. So much so that now Ham is a father, Japheth, Shem probably have children. Noah is now a grandfather. We're talking about at least a decade later. Remember those chronological leaps I try to tell you guys to be aware of? And this is why you read the writ slow. So in a weird way, I'm so glad that Wanda was the only one that went back and read the story of Noah, since her question about defilement of the bed. How does it refer to Jacob's defilement of his bed? Why did they say bed, not woman? Okay, because it wasn't about the woman. There still is no commandment at this point regarding affairs. There is no Torah yet. This is the Torah and the leading up to everything that brings us why we live a certain way. So Jacob, there's no 10 commandments. Moshe's not even born yet, but he's telling his sons, who will be the producers and progenitors of people like Moshe. And then you have Noah, who is before Jacob. So there's no 10 commandments. There's no Torah as yet. There is the word of Elohim. And so Ham's actions over his father's indecent exposure, if you want to call it that, and I tell you, don't think you know what that means yet. So whatever the indecency that was seen, and for them to deem it indecent had to be something internal, not so much a letter of law. He sees his father in a compromise. He laughs and goes tell his brothers. So this is an indictment that Ham has questions about how in this brand new world they're living in, Noah is making decisions, and we gotta choke down whatever decision Noah says is going on. We got to choke down whatever Noah says we do. And I don't necessarily agree with that. So this is an indictment of Ham's nature and mentality to buck against the authority of his own father. Now, Shem and Japheth, they came in like, look, he's still pops. He's still the dog. He the OG. He the big boy. You know what I mean? We listening to him. What is you doing, man? Now, this also was an indictment that the spirit in which caused the actual defilement comes from the seed of Ham. Canaan is Ham's son. Are y'all learning anything today?
Yes.
So, Canaan is Ham's son, Noah's grandson, but Japheth and Shem, their sons and daughters are not recorded in this monumental record. Canaan is. That's why y'all gonna get this. Some of y'all gonna learn this. This is our first time. Let me look at y'all in your eyeballs. Why you think the Canaan land was given to Israel? Y'all never made that connection. Y'all never made the connection as to why the land of Canaan now belongs to Israel. Because the land of Canaan in the day of Noah. Y'all know that's the same guy, right? All right, I'm gonna leave y'all go. I'm gonna go eat. Y'all didn't know that the land.
My mouth is open, Apostle, because no, I did not know that.
Y'all didn't know that the land of Canaan comes from Canaan, Ham's son.
But I didn't know it was Ham's son.
Yeah. But we didn't know all of that.
That's Noah's grandson.
No, I did not know.
All of this is a family affair. Even to this day, the war in the Middle East between what's happening in Palestine and what's happening in Israel. That's why I tell y'all, be careful when you open your mouth because of political individuals, rallying around a cry. You need to know the history. Don't just look at the politics. That paints a picture, but the history is the foundation for why these multiple pictures keep happening. And if you don't know this history, you don't even understand what's going on in the Middle East. So shut your mouth, because all you're seeing is what I like to call, in many cases on both sides of the fence, complicit victims. You are complicit to acting a certain way, and then when it doesn't turn out your way, and you get the worst end of the stick, now you turn victim, but you started this mess. And that goes on both sides. Both have played complicit victims, right? So that's a very important thing. And everything that Israel receives is the Canaan land. It is the same Canaan that defiled the bed of Noah. Yeah, that they, but do you see how we've not been able to purport this throughout Christendom? Because we've not done the reading from the Torah to get the actual history and the lineage, to know who does what and why things are. And all of this is extremely important to you moving forward in the things of Elohim. This Canaan is the actual origin of the Canaan land. Before any other occupancies of other people. So then the Canaan land is really close to the place that Noah and them and the waters are swayed. Well, that gets too deep. I can't go into that because I'll be here all night. And this is why if you don't read Torah, you don't know, you don't understand the stories that are happening throughout the Old Testament, because you don't know the region. You don't know why Yeshua's in Galilee. You know, you got all these different people thinking that, because I'm shifting subjects, I'm shifting topics. You got people thinking that all these stories out of Africa, out of Egypt, pardon me, not Africa, because all of this is Africa. All the people out of Egypt, y'all let that Suez Canal get y'all twisted. Know the history on the Suez Canal. When you pay attention to the Torah, it tells you the genealogy, it tells you the origins, it tells you the original land people from the time of Noah. So Canaan had a real good shot at making a pretty good parcel of property, right? But you know, when you don't read the Torah, you don't know the storylines that are happening in the Old Testament. You don't know the storylines that are happening from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John all the way to Revelations, because you're seeing the pictures painted, but you don't know the foundation that this is standing on, and how many times those pictures have been sent back to a clean canvas so someone else who controlled the brush could paint their picture to get favoritism to their side. There's a foundation for why these wars are happening. Now, if you don't read the Torah, you don't get to know that. Here's something people don't get. If you don't read the Torah, you don't know why Golan Heights is important. You don't know why what's going on in the land that is being considered and portioned out as Palestine and Israel, the actions of why it was significant that Israel became or Jerusalem became the capital of Israel, why Israel has been parceled off the way that it has, and why the Ishmaelites also find that they have property there. Their father Abraham established all of this, and you don't even understand why Abraham is the father of 3 major monotheisms on the planet. If you don't read Torah, you don't get none of that. You just walking around here thinking they're different religions, not realizing they're all the same family. Duh. And you putting your nose in family business.
Unstoppable.
So as I look at even the story of Messiah, I had some people come back to me from Egypt, who I love. All right. The Coptics in Egypt are dynamic people. Really, 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 really dynamic. And so I love this for Christians. When Christians find these very loud, hard speaking people who talk about Jesus, one, couldn't be pale, right? We know that. But then they say, well, Jesus and the pictures of Yeshua are in the caves of Egyptians, dating whatever, right? Now, these same people will say that we don't believe in the carbon dating process, but yet when you utilize the pictures of Yeshua, you use carbon dating to date them. Okay, so you're gonna have to, you got to pick a side, all right? But here's the thing I most despise about the generalized ignorance of us as Christians purporting he who hung on the cross as our savior, and then not knowing how to, not that you should defend it, but not knowing how to rightly divide the facts of history that pictures that have been labeled Tahiru, Isis, and another, as opposed to Miriam, Usef, and Yeshua. Most Christians don't know that Yeshua did not live in Bethlehem. Most Christians viewing with me right now do not know that Yeshua did not live his childhood years in Galilee. And if you don't read Torah, you don't even know where Galilee is in proportion to Bethlehem, in proportion to Jerusalem, and most importantly, in proportion to Egypt. And if you don't read Torah, you don't understand what the Magi did when they came. That when Yeshua was yet beneath 2 years of age, he had to leave Jerusalem. He had to leave Udea, where King Herod was over, and go and, by the instructions of Yahweh, live in, watch this, Egypt. So when you have someone coming to you from the different faith systems, and I don't speak negatively about any of them, they do what they do, they believe what they believe. But when you come to me as a person in Egyptology, or you come to me with someone who is an antagonist against Christianity and how it's all a ploy and man-made story and all of this stuff like that, if you don't know that the reason Yeshua's pictures are in Egyptian cages and caves and tree marks and obelisks and in writings, because Yeshua, Usef, and Miriam grew up. They had to raise Messiah in Egypt, where he did miracles. So whose picture is it really in those caves? Because most Christians don't know that Messiah was told by Yahweh to leave Jerusalem, go live in Egypt. Watch this, to fulfill a prophecy from Torah that out of Egypt your Savior comes. But y'all thought he lived in Galilee. You don't realize that when Messiah walked, when you hear the story about Yeshua at age 12 being in the temple, blowing the mind of the doctors and the sages and the priests that were in the temple, and Miriam and Usef are like, yo, we left Yeshua, we got to turn around and go and get him. So they spun around and go and got him back. Where you think they were going? Back to Bethlehem? Back to Galilee? No. They were going back to Egypt. And if you don't know that, you really don't understand who Messiah was. You really don't understand why the Pharisees and the Sadducees couldn't stand him. If you don't understand that Yeshua grew up in Egypt, you'll never understand why Yeshua wasn't strung up sooner as a child. Why? Because you don't name your child Yahweh's salvation. They were like, what Pharisee knew of Yeshua? None of the schools. You know, you you have the Safar. You have the middle school. You have you know, the beginner school. You have the Midrash. You have, you know, all these schools. None of the priests, none of them along any Judean border, even up into Galilee, knew of this child named Yahweh's salvation. The priest would have killed him before he became a man. Him living in Egypt is what kept him alive long enough to go up into Galilee later on as a carpenter and a metal molder so that he could fulfill the prophecies that you and I call the cross. But if you leave those pieces out, you don't know how you read, you don't know what you're reading in that Bible. And this is why Bible Book Club is so important. And most people tuning in to Bible Book Club is like, I never knew that, because you never read the Torah. So let me give y'all this, and I'm gonna let y'all go because I think I gave y'all too much tonight and make y'all a little bit upset with me. I want to give y'all this. I want you to hear this. If ever someone from Egyptology or believing in Ankh and believing in just antagonizing against Christendom, don't believe the story of Yeshua, say that it was stolen and we can prove it in the Egyptian caves, which they have to use carbon dating to really date that stuff. Though when you try to use it to date the times of the world, they say can't use that. But if you want to talk about your favorite preference of disputing that Yeshua was born and he is who he is because it was a stolen story from another religion before Christianity and its inception ever came into play, which is why I don't like the element of Christianity. Because if you know the history, it is a baby. But the element of who Yeshua HaMashiach is, the reason you see pictures of him, Miriam, and Usef in black skin, woolly hair, bronze eyes, is because he lived in Egypt for decades. He was hiding out in Egypt. How else would his pictures be all over those caves? Oh, but y'all don't know that because we never read the prophecy and we never paid attention to the story in our manger narrative, in our mistletoe narrative of Christmas. You never picked up what happened when Herod told them, kill every child under 2, when the angel says, get out of Judea and get into Egypt that the scriptures might be fulfilled. And if you don't know how to qualify that, then beloved, my brother, my sister, my friend, my peer, my brethren in the faith, we need to get back to Torah. That's why I spend so much time here. So you learn the grassroots of what kind of fruit we're eating from in the New Testament. Did that help anybody?
Absolutely.
Yes, it did.
So just a little free tidbit, whenever someone comes to you and tells you that, oh, it's a story stolen, ask them, how you think his picture got into the caves of Egypt? Oh, well, it was Heru, Isis, and Heru, Isis, and what's the other guy name? See, I fought with this so much, I don't even care no more. They got 3 pictures and they got the halo around his head. Yeah, he did. He was that one. He lived in Egypt for decades. He had to escape Judea and he went over into Egypt. And he lived there and traveled back and forth at least for 12 years because he was in the temple confounding the priests. And then they left him. He had to go back again. And then somehow he travels up north with the family via an Egyptian coursing and ends up in Galilee, which is north. So Yeshua because later in his life, they call him Jesus of Nazareth. They call him Jesus the Galilean because he moved from Egypt to Galilee. When he was born, his registry of birth, they got out of Dodge. The first time the priest at the temple outside of Herod heard about this Yeshua, Yahweh's salvation, he was somebody coming out. Oh, that guy that comes up from Galilee. Yeah, his father is he's an artsman. They do stone and they do wood and they're carpentry. So he wasn't a carpenter. He was more than a carpenter. But if you don't read the Torah, you don't even understand that. You don't even know who you're looking at. You just see a man who hung on the cross. If you don't read Torah, you don't know what's in his heart. You don't even know why he exists. You just see a man who hung on the cross and your image of why he exists, so they could hang him high, hung him high, stretched him wide. He hung his head. For me, he died. That's love. Dear heart, there is so much more to know about Yeshua if you read the Torah. It's literally amazing. All right, we've gone too far into this. So listen, in actuality, I have a matter I need to deal with. And we're praying for the families in Atlanta. And I have to keep a call with some people. So I'm going to have to cut this short. Is there any questions real quick before I go? Did y'all learn anything about learning Torah, knowing Yeshua, understanding that? I like that, Wanda.
Sir.
Wanda makes a statement. Wanda has a statement on the platform. I love this statement. Wanda says, I'm learning daily that we had absolutely no idea. She says who Yeshua was. I'm willing to tell you, we have no idea who Yeshua is. Simone Blessed says, this is incredible. Such good information I never knew. Why? Because we were never told to read the Torah. That's not for us. That's for the Jews. And we stuck to the story about Yeshua, who is the product of that whole first 5 books. All right, moderators, I heard a question. I heard a voice.
This new mic is so goofy. I'm sorry. Unstoppable is in queue, and then there was a question on Facebook.
Okay.
Carmen.
All right. I got to keep this call, people. So I'm going to answer these 2 and let it go from that point, because I've got to keep this call. It's very important. There's been some matters that have happened here in our region. All right. Unstoppable, beloved. Good to hear your voice.
That's possible.
Do me a favor. Hug that great man quick. And
I will.
grab that little girl for me and hold her up and say, this spin around comes from Apostle.
I sure will.
Thank you, love. What's going on with you?
Okay, so in the beginning, I always was taught that like Canaan is from like where Cain went from, like Cain and Abel. Like when he had to leave, that's where he went, and that's what was called, and that was Canaan. Never learned it the right way.
Yeah, Canaan is an interesting person because y'all go to Genesis chapter 9 real quick. I'll pull it up on screen. Genesis 9. I'm going to do this and I got to go, but I'm going to do this anyway. Y'all know I always get in trouble, so it's okay. I'm used to getting in trouble. Genesis chapter 9. Let's look at this. And Elohim blessed Noah and Noah's sons. He said unto him, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, and the fear of Yahweh dread. The fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, the fowl of the air, and everything that moves upon the earth until all the fishes into your hand, they are delivered. Every morning, things, I mean, I got to cut the time. We got to cut time down here. We'll skim through. All right. Every moving thing that lives in the meat, liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herbs have I given you all things. Verse 4. But flesh with life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall you not eat. And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast I will require it, and at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whoso sheds man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of Elohim made he man. Verse 7. And you, be ye fruitful, multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, multiply therein. And Elohim spake unto Noah and said to his sons with him, saying, and behold, I establish my covenant with you, with your seed after you, and every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, the cattle, every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall flesh be cut off by any more by the waters, neither shall there be any more floods to destroy the earth. Elohim said, this is the token of the covenant which I made between me and thee and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my rainbow in the cloud, and it shall be a token for a covenant between me and the earth, not for alternative lifestyle. I said that out loud. Come for me. Verse 13, I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud, and I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you, and every living creature of all flesh, and the water shall no more become floods to destroy all flesh, and the bow shall be in the clouds, and I will look to the bow, that I may remember an everlasting covenant between Elohim and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. And Elohim said to Noah, this is the token of the covenant which I established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. Now, I said what I said, and I don't want anybody coming for me politically, especially in this very sensitive era of time. I am not for Christians wearing crosses. It is an actual act of idolatry. I'm not for Christian wearing fish or the cross and star of David. All of that, he said, make no images unto me. So whenever you see a cross, as a Christian, you instantly make an image unto who? Elohim. You're talking about he who hung on the cross. He said, don't do it. Yeah, I'm for it all the same way. Don't make Christmas trees. Don't do it. We still go out and pull Christmas trees in our house. And as it said, do not paint it. Do not tinkle it. Do not put any kind of tinsel of gold or silver around it. We still do it. Don't bring it into your houses. Don't do it. We still do it. And the same thing with this issue with the bow in the heavens. That bow is not a sign for alternative life. It is a sign for a new covenanted life. And you may think I'm being homophobic or anti whatever, xenophobic. No, none of that. None of that. Live your life. Do what you want to do. You are grown. You choose. You have to choose this day who you're going to serve. I'm not coming for anybody who chooses to do whatever that person wants to do unless they ask me, hey, what do you think about my actions? I'm going to show you the way I live. Here it says those actions are not what he would think this is not what he wants the human to do. I still love you. I ain't got no gripe with you doing what you feel is best for you. So don't come for me. This ain't anti-Semitic. This ain't xenophobic. This ain't homophobic. This ain't none of that stuff. I'm just telling you the facts. Because we don't read the book of Torah, you don't know that the rainbow was not an alternative sign for branding. It is a covenant that when that bow is in the air, we see it. Yahweh's covenant is still in place, that he won't destroy the earth by water again, but it will be fire next time. Now, let me finish chapter 9 so I can give y'all what y'all came for and go home. Verse 17, and Elohim said unto Noah, this is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that's upon the earth. Verse 18, and the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem, Ham, Japheth. Ham is the father of, ta-da. Nobody gonna help me finish this? Y'all gonna let me? I don't, you know what? I'm gonna officially do away with Bible Book Club.
It's hard. It's not letting you push it.
Oh,
like Canaan, we're with you.
Oh, you got a new mic on Clubhouse?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, it's goofy. It won't let you come off. It almost won't let you close it either.
Right.
All right, at least y'all stuck together on that one. Okay, so y'all got spared one more again. All right. So verse 18 again. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem, Ham, Japheth. Now, there's a colon there, and this is where theological or a chronological leap takes place. Ham is the father of Canaan. These are the three sons of Noah, and them was the whole earth overspread. Noah began to be a husbandman, planted a vineyard. He planted a vineyard, y'all. He didn't find one. He planted one. He drank the wine of it, was drunk, and was uncovered within his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brethren without. Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it up both their shoulders, and went backwards and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backwards, and they saw not their father's nakedness. Verse 24, Noah awoke from his drunken stupor and knew what his younger son had done unto him. And then he said about his younger son, meaning his grandson, cursed be Canaan. A servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren.
But what did he do?
That's where y'all nosiness come in at. You have to come back and tune in another day. Okay. What he do? Y'all been saved 87 years. What he do? You read your Bible. Read the book. The book. It's in the book.
I don't know either.
It sounds like we have to read between the lines or something because it's not in there. I don't see it.
I don't want, Danielle, I'm not mad at you for that statement, but I don't want y'all to be subjective. There is quite clear evidence and proof of what took place in this process. There are several schools of thought on it. I don't recommend you go down the rabbit trails of the internet to do it. I will bring it back to y'all next week. But I need to get to this family out of Atlanta.
Okay. Thank you, Apostle.
Thank y'all for the questions. I need you to understand this. So I was talking to Pastor Tally, and he's like, yeah. You know, we're always, we're coming and we're sharing, getting perspective. And he says, you never charge for anything and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, but you know how we do. We're pastors, right? So he says, I said, do you know that my benefit, what I get that benefits me from any study we have, the greatest benefit I can ever have is your questions, because your questions don't only allow me to help you go find it in the writ. It helps me to stay also inquisitive of the writ. And that is how we all keep each other accountable and constantly learning the writ, because your questions may be seasoned differently than a previous question from 10 years ago, but there's still a question. What is that perspective from? So I get great benefit when you guys give me all your questions. I don't want to give you that because everybody's question. That's my riches, questions. Make me rich. Give me questions. Give me your questions. If you don't like me, you won't ask me no questions. And that means that you want my demise. But if you love me, you're going to send me your questions. And I'm going to take us to the word and find it out. So I thought that was an interesting thing. So I want to thank Pastor Tally for that. He blessed my life with that. I thought about it. He felt like he got blessed by the answer I gave him, but I was blessed by the position that drew that answer. So yeah. All right. I like that, Tyron Pinkins. Iron does sharpen iron. And that's the whole purpose of it. Some are better at it than others, but iron does sharpen iron. Well, Zion, it's been an absolute joy, honor, and my privilege to be with you guys. There is no greater thing on the planet for me than teaching and sharing the word of Elohim with you, and doing it in a setting that we can all ask the same questions that we all need the same answers to. And that is a part of the commonwealth, which is the intention of the kingdom of Elohim. Well, it's been my joy and my pleasure to be with you guys. Have a wonderful day.
If you need truth, this is the place for you. Don't need to complicate it. It's best to keep it basic. Open the book, the word is self-approved. He's Alpha and Omega, the answer since the early ages. What you should do is learn about the greatest. Just so you know, our door is always open. Let's study together instead of debating. Share our differences. Let love heal all that's broken.